It's now July of 2288. Today is July the 4th. No, there is no more 4th of July celebration, as there is no more United States of America. Instead, we have smaller nations on the western half of the old USA, like the New California Republic, as well as the hostile nation called Caesar's Legion, who is at odds with them. Then on the east coast, there is the Brotherhood of Steel to the south of us. I no longer believe I have to spend weeks at a time running around helping people with my presence. So, with everything that I want to do directly to help out the people of the Commonwealth now done, my mind is envisioning the next step. I would like this home to have a unified leadership. We already have a whole bunch of small communities spread out all over the land, with these people owing their safety and lives to the Minutemen. Minutemen flags are flying all over Diamond City, and their mayor turned out to be the synth piper insinuated he was all along. Though it is just a loose organization of settlements, I would like the Commonwealth to become a new nation. If that is my legacy, then founding a new nation would be a pretty good one. I can see the history books now. Ryan Moore of the Minutemen started the Commonwealth. I won't assume power, of course. I will see how we can organize an election with a vote from each of the settlements. That is, if anyone else will run for leadership. Otherwise, I'll just assume the role, since I cannot see anyone else who has it in them to lead at the moment. Perhaps Preston Garvey, but he's deferred to me to be leader since after I helped him get to Sanctuary. So now the biggest question on my mind is, will the Brotherhood of Steel leave, or will they try and take over the Commonwealth? They no longer need to be here with the Institute gone and the Minutemen protecting the place, but who knows? Their leader, Elder Maxon, doesn't seem like the most diplomatic of people. He's more the type to tell you, you'll do what I want you to do, or I will destroy you. But if he has it in him to be diplomatic, now's the time. I'm quite sure the railroad will be backing me up here, as I have supported their covert activities for months. Though, of course, the Brotherhood of Steel cannot know that the railroad is still around, or we might just become enemies. I'm not privy to what the Brotherhood of Steel knows about the railroad, or if they are even aware they exist. If they don't, this will be much easier, but if they do, as I suspect they do, then it will be up to the Minutemen to deal with them, as in we will pretend that the railroad are something that needs to be mopped up by us. We may have widespread support, but I don't want a war with the Brotherhood of Steel, as they just have too much firepower to deal with easily. No matter what happens, I can see the Brotherhood of Steel being our biggest hurdle from here on. Let's just hope it all works out peacefully. I don't want another war right now, before we're even a nation yet. Minutemen support is so widespread in the Commonwealth that to go against us would be a very foolish mistake on the Brotherhood's part. I don't think it's a war they could win, especially with many of our soldiers having power armor and laser weaponry. I'm friends with Hancock and Goodneighbor, and now there will have to be a new mayoral election in Diamond City. I hope Piper runs and is elected. I'll have to have a chat with her about that. But Diamond City already supports the Minutemen. That only leaves Bunker Hill and Vault 81, but I believe that I've already made a good account of myself with them. Between those settlements and all the smaller Minutemen settlements, that's all that we have here in the Commonwealth. Altogether, I'd say half the population is already part of the Minutemen, so our influence is already really felt. Now to Nuka World. Well, after what Curie and I did there shouldn't be many if any raiders left. We cleaned them all out of Nuka Town, USA at least. There's a small population of traders there who now have their freedom. The closest thing I would say they would be like would be Bunker Hill, which is a trading post for the caravans. I'm also going to reach out to the traders and see if they'd like to join the Minutemen. I'm sure I won't be turned down. We can even create a Minutemen detachment over there to defend them from any threats, and via radio remain in constant communication. Then there is that little island up north in Maine. The people of Mount Desert Island will now live a life free of that ever-present sword of Damocles that was there when Tectus was leading the children of the Atom. So another place saved and another place that will be free to live how they want. They are too remote for us to bring into the Minutemen and the future Commonwealth, but it would be worth a try anyways. You never know, though I didn't end relations well with Captain Avery. Maybe one day she'll realize I really helped them there. This map was given to me by Paladin Dance to use with my Pip-Boy, and it is the most up-to-date map that the Brotherhood of Steel has. It's overlaid on the old USA, with all its cities, towns, and landmarks. Dance thought I would like this, and he's correct. It's very helpful for me to get my bearings. Unfortunately for Dance, I lost track of him at some point, and he's not on the Pridwin anymore. I never really got to know him, so I won't be including him when I cover my friends and companions. Okay, what do we have here? He shows the world as it was, but only markers are in the USA, the old USA. Alright. Getting used to zooming in and out, moving around. So, it shows different factions that are here. This is DC. So that's the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm not sure what he said. There's a collection of small, whatever, former vault dwellers that live in this area. It's a little confusing. But he did say this is the Commonwealth, where we live here. I also put in this on my own. This is Mount Desert Island. Where does it say? Mount Desert. You see Mount Desert, but it's Mount Desert Island. Everything else is empty. Look at all this emptiness. Then there's this whole area that's Brotherhood of Steel, Midwest Brotherhood of Steel. They're a splinter group. They're similar, but they're not quite the same as the DC version. They even have Brotherhood of Steel that's out in the West Coast too, so didn't have much to say about them. And this is Caesar's Legion. Apparently they took a whole bunch of the tribes and put them into one. I mean, the last update was 2281. Not too long ago. So apparently they're very aggressive, trying to take over everything. And this is the NCR, which I've heard a lot about. I guess the last update was 7 years ago too. They're all the green area. Now Jacksonville, where's Jacksonville? It doesn't show the actual. Oh, it does. There's different states if you look. It's faint. Yeah, it wouldn't. Where's Jacksonville, where I was born? Where is it? Just haven't looked on the map of this for ages. So the NCR is not covering my former home, I don't think. Wish I could just type it in. Where's Jacksonville? I have to look for it. Okay, I found my home. Right here, Jacksonville. It's not within the borders of the New California Republic. So it's just a small town. It gets very dry-ish in this area. It's desert-like going down here, but it's very arid in the area we're from. Yeah, quite a distance from the ocean, even though I've been there several times when I was young. But yeah, it's emptiness. What's this? 80s 2281. I don't know what that is. But I do know Caesar's Legion is enormous. Interesting. What's this down in Texas? Attis Army 2208. That's 80 years ago. I don't even know if they're still around, whatever they are. Yeah, it's just doesn't give any more information. Free States 2079, 2082. So are these no longer around? It's quite a long time ago. Savage Divide. There's really not anything. Closest thing to us, this might not even be here anymore. Closest thing to us is DC. And when you look at it like this, Far Harbor is not that far away. It's closer than down in DC, even though I flew to DC on a vertibird. Reaver Movement 2197. Don't know what that is. Calculator's Army 2197. interesting. Yep, blank everywhere else, just the old map. We don't have anything. There's things up here in Alaska, Anchorage. What's this? Aleutian Research Station? Libertyville? Is there a town up there? Brotherhood North American Forward Operations Base. Port Liberty. That sounds like something from Brotherhood of Steel. Anchorage. What is this, though? Operation Anchorage. That was, what, back in the war? Not sure what that's about. Now, with all the places over with, let's talk about my friends and companions. Codsworth is a very welcome one. The only one from before the end of the world that I know. As I've said before, I'm amazed anything is still functioning from back then, but Codsworth will always be a good, dependable robot who I'll always have an affinity for, since he knew my family and I before they were lost. Now he'll be caretaker for all of Sanctuary, instead of just the old Moor home. Dogmeat, well, how could I ever part with that wonderful dog? He's been with me ever since I left Sanctuary and has been at my side for most of my adventures in the last 9 months. He's about the best dog anyone could ever ask for, especially out here in the dangerous post-apocalyptic world. He warns me of danger, of loot, guards me when I sleep, and even helps fight enemies. He's the dog I've always wanted. I feel bad for my old dog Sam that ran away weeks before the end of the world, but for some reason I just feel that maybe Dogmeat is Sam returned, but much braver than he was as Sam? I don't know. I just have that notion. That name though, Dogmeat. Cannot stand it. Maybe one day I'll change it. We'll see if he takes to a new one. If not, then he'll remain Dogmeat. Preston Garvey was the first actual human being to have a conversation with me when I got out of Vault 111. I'll never forget helping them out at the old Museum of Freedom in Concord. Not only did I save the last of the Minutemen, but in the end they saved me. Because without meeting Preston, I don't know where I or the Commonwealth would be right now. Perhaps I would have stuck it out with the Brotherhood of Steel, but who knows how things would have ended up that way. Preston is a good man, and he's my second in command, and leading the Minutemen out of the castle, where he says he's happy doing his duty down there. He is very loyal, idealistic, and a good friend. I'm so glad I met him. The Boogeyman Banished? The Boogeyman Banished by Piper Wright. We've all succumbed to it at one point or another, no matter how brave or how strong we actually are. The people of the Commonwealth have known fear ever since the Broken Mask incident of 2229, right here in Diamond City, when the first human-looking synth infiltrated and attacked a group of innocent settlers. We have lain awake in bed at night, terrified of the Institute and everything it represents. Long have we dreaded the possibilities. Will someone I know be taken, snatched in the night for who knows what reason? Will one of my loved ones suddenly turn on me? Because they are in fact a synth replacement? Or will the boogeyman finally step out of the closet and devour all who stand in its way? We, the people of the Commonwealth, remember the past. We lived in terror in the present. But with the catastrophic explosion at the CIT ruins quite obviously signaling the destruction of the Institute, which this reporter learned was actually located deep underground, the question on everyone's minds now is, has the boogeyman really been banished? It would certainly seem that way. As long as there's been an Institute, there have been those opposed to the shadowy, sinister organization. While most ordinary folk wouldn't dream of defying their merciless masters, the Railroad has waged a secret war against them for over 30 years, and the Brotherhood of Steel's arrival in the Commonwealth signals the most overt opposition the Institute has ever faced. All empires must eventually fall. That said, perhaps it was never a matter of if, but rather when. So what exactly does this mean for the Commonwealth going forward? That, dear readers, is the question. For the boogeyman may indeed have been banished, but isn't it possible other monsters may step out of the closet to terrorize us in the night? There are other players in the Commonwealth. None has been as strong as the Institute, but that's sure to change. Will they work with the Commonwealth or against it? Are they for the people or against us? This reporter holds on to hope for one very specific reason. If my sources are correct, and I know they are, the Institute's destruction was actually orchestrated by someone many of us have already met, the Vault Dweller. It would seem that lonely figure who came into our settlement searching for a missing child actually found the monster that had taken so many children and killed it. So be wary as we go into a new tomorrow, my friends, but stay strong, and always, always remember that humanity lives and dies on the surface. Humanity is the Commonwealth, and maybe, just maybe, with the Institute finally gone, we can have the future we all deserve. Well written, Piper.
Hey.
What can I do? I can't believe it. They're gone. The Institute's gone. Do you know what this means?
That the Commonwealth is finally safe.
Exactly. It means no more kidnappings. No more sleepless nights, terrified your neighbors plotting against you. No more fear. Thanks to you. We don't have to be afraid anymore.
So with the Institute gone, does this mean you're out of a job?
You're joking, right? Someone's gonna have to document the post-Institute world now, won't they? Welcome to day one of the new Commonwealth.
Piper is a good and honest woman who I'd vote for in a heartbeat to become the new mayor of Diamond City. She's proven to me that she's always fighting for the truth and treating people fairly. If not for Curie, I was considering starting a relationship with her for a while, since she more than made it clear that she was interested in me. I just wasn't ready for anything like that at the time we were traveling together. We need more people like her and Preston in this world. A lot more. Kate. Kate is someone that had a real difficult life, and I commend her for overcoming her addiction to chems, though she did get a lot of help from that machine that removed chem addictions in that old vault I helped her get to. Talk about a flirt. I swear she did everything but fondle me, and I had remained around her long enough, I'm sure that would have happened. She's not a bad woman now that she's off the chems, but sheesh, she was a little strong for my tastes. I think that was just what she was used to growing up in the wasteland, being mistreated by so many people for years, including her own parents, which is very sad. I'm sure she'll find someone in Sanctuary if she hasn't already. She patrols the walls and is one of the first to leap into action when danger looms. I don't know if Strong will ever find that milk of human kindness that was put into his head by Rex Goodman, but he's been a good fighter and a hard worker, hauling all the junk from settlement to settlement. He never complains of any of that, though, but he does complain about humans being weak compared to super mutants. Though I want to trust him, I just am not sure a low, intelligent, massively tall, and strong creature like him can be trusted. I think I'll confer with Dr. Brian Virgil to see if it would be possible to remove the FEV virus from his body. With nearly all the super mutants cleared out from the Commonwealth, I just cannot accept that this one super mutant be left. They live forever, I'm told, and there will always be a chance that someone will either pick a fight with him, meaning a citizen of the Commonwealth, or he'll grow frustrated with us because he cannot find this milk of human kindness and begin doing what all super mutants do, kill and eat humans. If he was intelligent like Brian Virgil, and I could reason with him, then I might not consider removing the FEV, but I've seen way too many super mutants to know what they're like. Besides, though Strong wouldn't agree to be a human again, I'm sure as a human he'd be grateful for us changing him back. Ada is a good robot companion. Right now she's working in the little Minutemen headquarters in Sanctuary. She was instrumental in bringing down the Mechanist, and she'll always have my gratitude for that. The Mechanist was one of the first evil forces we managed to bring down, even though she herself wasn't evil, just misguided. Regardless, she did pose quite a direct threat to the Commonwealth for a while. Ada has agreed to help organize and advise the Minutemen, so she'll always have a place in Sanctuary. Now that everything has been settled in the Commonwealth, McCready has agreed to return home to see his family, especially his sick son. I really hope that medicine that we found in that MedTech research center in Malden is just what he needed. MacReady is a good man, and I'd love for him to stick around, but he's been gone from home for too long, and his family needs him much more than we do. Hancock is a bit of a rebel, but very devoted to being on the side of good and just. He's the perfect guy to remain as leader of Good Neighbor, and I'm glad I met him. Sad that his real-life brother was killed by the Institute and replaced with a synth like that. It's what caused him to rebel in the first place and make himself become a ghoul. I don't know when McDonough was replaced, and I can only assume it was before he ran for mayor and kicked out all the ghouls in Diamond City. At least I hope so. I also hope that with the realization that that wasn't Hancock's actual brother, that Hancock can make peace with his memory of him. As mayor of our second largest settlement, Hancock has been a great supporter of the Minutemen, especially after seeing firsthand what we've accomplished out there. He'll back me for establishing a new nation for sure. Deacon. Old Deacon. I still don't know if he's a synth or a human. I thought everyone in the railroad was a synth at first, but after working with them for a while, I wonder if any of them actually were. But at least they've done a lot of good helping escape synths from the Institute. Deacon is one of their oldest members, if not the oldest. He could very well be a synth, who knows? He's a habitual exaggerator and sometimes liar. You never know whether to trust him or not. But after traveling with him for a good while, I do believe he's a good man, and has good intentions. With how he changes his looks constantly, I think he's probably a pretty good spy, too. We're not exactly sure what to make of Gage. What kind of a future will he have with us? After all, wasn't he advising his former overboss to begin raiding out here in the Commonwealth from Nuka World at some point? I traveled with him for around 2 weeks, and I still barely know the guy. Well, I wanted him in Sanctuary so we can keep an eye on him. We'll have to come up with something that he can do besides just helping out defend our home. But whatever it is, it cannot be too crucial. I also don't want him left unwatched, because he might try and join another raider gang at some point. Of all the people that have watched my back out there, he's one big enigma, even more so than Deacon. Then we have old Longfellow. He showed me the ins and outs of how to survive on Mount Desert Island. The people there don't even call it that, they just call it the island. But I won't go by that name because there are a lot of islands out there and we aren't living on one like they are. I can only wish him the best. With the threat of the children of the atom gone on that island, he and the rest of the people in Far Harbor will have a much easier go. I sort of wish he lived closer, as traveling back and forth there isn't exactly convenient. He said something to the effect that I'm the son he wished he had. Well, he's kind of like the uncle I wish I had living out here in the Commonwealth with us. Nick Valentine, probably the best friend I have. I value this synth as a friend and companion more than any other besides Curie. He's made it his life's work to help the people of the Commonwealth many decades before I showed up. He has a lot of ties out there, even among some raiders. I'm glad he's helping people big and small with their problems, because without him, I don't think I ever would have found Kellogg or Sean, the real Sean, that is. Nick still battles with who he is. Is he the real Nick or just some cheap copy? I talked to him about this, but that doesn't mean the struggle isn't still there. His brother Dima was flawed, but tried to do the right thing on Mount Desert Island. If he had the memories of Nick Valentine, then he would have had Nick's sense of justice too, which means he never would have killed that woman, Avery, and replaced her. This Nick Valentine, the Generation 2 synth, is his own person. What I'm left with is that he's someone I'm happy to call a friend. I know Gage is a bit of a wild card and someone I don't know what to do with, but I think my synth son Sean is that and even more. I suppose the closest thing to having him in my life now is like adopting a 10-year-old boy you don't know. Accordingly, Sean will never age or physically grow up. This is a bit of a problem, having a son that will never age. I wish he would grow up like the rest of us humans, and be like the other adult Generation 3 synths. He has my son's DNA though, so I suppose that is something. Maybe his personality is like my son. He doesn't have any memories that Sean had, I've asked. He says he doesn't have any of when he was younger either, which is rather sad. But they've been saying that personalities are part inherited, so maybe he will be like Sean and myself, after all. Regardless, this synth Sean is the last thing I have in my life of Sean. and Nora, since he has Sean's DNA. I'll do the best I can as his father. I can ask all those Institute scientists we have, and Curie, to look into seeing how we can get him to be an adult one day. I really don't want to be an 80-year-old man and still have a 10-year-old son for 50 years. If I should ever live that long, that is. Knowing Curie, though, these synths can love and care about people, just like normal humans, so I'll give it everything within me to be a father for him. Though it's not the same, since I didn't get to raise him from where I left off with the real Sean when he was just 6 months. I lost him, my son, and he was my only connection to that last life, the synth version. I feel none of it, but the real Sean, I wanted there to be something, even if I also felt not nothing, but not very much. At least at the time. I didn't know this man, and he didn't know me. The age difference, where he was now twice my age, also added to the bizarreness of it all. I think I've covered all my thoughts and feelings about him before, but the lingering sadness I felt inside after the detonation of the Institute's reactor, that still lingers within. It was my last link to my old life and the old world. And it was beyond painful, and I still feel it inside. You can hide from going into those dark places, but those dark places have a way of reaching out to you. I learned that from my dreams, my nightmares. Killing Sean is something I will need to heal from, but even thinking about that is painful. Those feelings came up again when I destroyed the children of the atom on Mount Desert Island. The same old blow, the end me up by nuclear fire, is just not something I want to do a third time. Yes, if I could go back, I'd grab Sean and force him to come with us. Maybe I would have had a few weeks or months with him before he passed. He said he was dying, but I never found out what from. If they couldn't cure him in the Institute, then I'm not sure it is possible to do it. Though miracles are known to happen. Perhaps Curie could have found a way. What I wouldn't do to put bullets into Kellogg and those Institute bastards who entered Vault 111 60 years ago, before they got to Nora. Well, if I'm being honest about it, my son died there when they took him. At least that's how I feel about it all. I'll always miss Nora and baby Sean. As I've said, those are some of the happiest moments in my life. The end of the world shattered that. Maybe that was the day my family was actually destroyed, not when Kellogg and the Institute came to us. Yeah, well, that world's done. We have a new world to look forward to. One in which we will do what we can to not repeat the mistakes of the old one. Lastly, we have Curie, the woman who has my heart and all my love, for I do love her very, very much, just as much as I loved Nora back in the day. It's unfortunate that Curie is a synth who will never change, and will watch me grow old, but I know her. She's so loving and kind that she'll be there to my dying day, even if I'm 100, can't even walk, and am stuck on some sort of life support. Which is why I've chosen to ask her to marry me. Because as fortunate as I was to find love again so soon after losing Nora, I don't think this was an accident. Love is what makes life worth living, be that with a partner or family. Without love, there's no reason to exist. We need it more than anything. Life is a shallow, hollow, pointless existence without it. Honestly, I don't know who is older, her or myself. Curie lived a long life in that robot body of hers. She's possibly around 2 centuries old, not some newly created synth just getting to know the world. When I met her, she was quite mature but eager to see the outside world once we released her from the vault. I didn't even think that much of her until she was transferred into that synth body. Then, I just couldn't stop thinking about her. She's such a wonderful person inside and out. She's made my life not only bearable, but even content, if one can be in my situation that I've gone through. I can say I've had 2 great loves in my life now. perhaps a little too close together, but loves nonetheless. I don't feel guilty about it anymore, not like I used to. We've just taken to each other from the start. I couldn't stop glancing at her, and she couldn't stop looking at me. Life can be so strange. As for her getting pregnant, well, we'll see what the scientists can come up with. We saved so many from the Institute that they have to be good for something. If the day Curie can have my child ever comes to pass, it will be the happiest day of my life. Yes, everything is so strange in my new life here. But I asked her to marry me. And you know what? Curie said yes.
Get it trimmed. You won't regret it.
Pastor Clements,
Welcome.
are you sure this is what you really want?
I find myself coming inside. I feel so very happy. This is the world.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Love, love, love. What a wonderful world.
Pastor,
Then by the power invested in me, I pronounce you man and wife.
We are... I love you. Sorry. It is so hard to keep my feelings contained.
And I love you, Curie.
Mine now.
any words of wisdom?
At this rate, we're gonna have to put your name up on signs for the agency.
Sounds good.
As for anything else, well, this man who was born in the small town of Jacksonville, Oregon in 2047 has come a long, long way. Yes, I'm still getting over the end of the world. For me, it was 9 months ago. I lost my sister, brother-in-law, and their 2 girls, as well as my grandma back home in Jacksonville when the bombs dropped. Trying to get over there now would be like me trying to get to the moon. It's one hell of a long way with no transportation and a world full of raiders and mutants. I just won't even bother trying. Even if it was within a time that they could still have survived. They may have survived the nuclear blasts and fallout, and the dangers of everything else, but not from Father Time. Unless they made it as ghouls. They died a long, long time ago, and the best I could do would be to find graves or bones. So then it's just Curie and my son Sean and Dogmeat. Let's see what kind of new world we can create here in the Commonwealth. Because whatever happens to us or this land, I know it will be good.